Welcome back to Max Reaction. How are you doing today on this beautiful March day? Actually, it's cold and rainy here. I'm lying. It's not very beautiful outside, but I'm sure over in the Philippines it is beautiful. Sunshine, warm. Can't wait for it to get warm here. But anyway, we're going to react to a video today, and we're going to react to the rising economy of the Philippines. This video was created in February, so hopefully it includes what's going on now, you know, because the pandemic is hurting all kinds of countries, and definitely the pandemic's hurting the tourism in the Philippines, and the tourism is huge in the Philippines. It's a big chunk of the economy. It helps provide a lot of jobs, brings a lot of money into the country. So I don't know exactly what this video is going to talk about, but let's see what we can learn. Let's see if we agree, and let's check this out.
The Philippines, one of the most dynamic economies in the Southeast Asia region. With increasing urbanization, a growing middle class, and a large and young population. This country has seen many ups and downs in the history. From one of the contenders of Asia's tiger economy, to the lower income country. The Philippines has gone through many changes. So stick around, and let's find out what this rising economy is like.
Let's
the
see.
Philippines was once a model of development, and also second among East Asian economies after Japan. In the 1960s, when South Korea was a land of peasants, the Philippines was one of the Asia's industrial powerhouses. They produced consumer goods, processed raw materials, and had assembly plants for automobiles, televisions, and home appliances.
Unfortunately, all the wars throughout the history, and we know what happened during the Marcos years as well. He was building things up, and things kind of went sideways.
But in the 1970s and 80s, the Philippines' economy declined, while its neighbors such as Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan made exponential growth. The major reason behind this decline was the country's protectionist policy. You see, after World War II, imports of the Philippines increased drastically. At the same time, exports reduced. This led the country to follow protectionist policy. Due to this, they lost many valuable investments that time. Other reasons for this include political and social unrest and corruption. Due to all of this, the Philippines also fell out of the race of Asian tiger economies. But by the start of 2000s, the Philippines' economy started to grow again.
And I know when I was in Manila, there's just skyscrapers going up everywhere. So that's a sign of a booming economy. Hopefully they're being filled, though.
See, many countries achieve their economic growth by slowly transitioning from agriculture to industry to service sector. Yet for Philippines, this transition was very quick. The service sector of the Philippines overtook the industrial sector in terms of GDP contribution during the early 80s. The GDP contribution of this sector increased from 36% in 1980 to 60% today.
It's a huge increase.
The service sector today employs 56% of the country's workforce, which is more than the agricultural and industrial sectors combined.
A lot of call centers in the Philippines. I know even when I booked a flight, actually I was booking a flight to Cebu, and who I started talking to on there, we started talking and chatting, and she was in Cebu. She was in IT Park. So lots of service jobs like that.
The main reason behind the growth of service sector is the Philippines was a former U.S. territory, and the U.S. had a very strong cultural impact on Philippines. More than 90% of the people in the country speak English as their second language.
Yes.
The cultural similarities gave them the opportunity to become the most popular business process outsourcing country. Plus, it is also popular for other back office jobs. And all of this for significantly low cost than the Western countries.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, they might put all the jobs over there, but they're not paying what they would pay in other countries, which is unfortunate. I think there should be some kind of law, or maybe, you know, or something to where there's a little bit higher pay guaranteed, you know, especially if it's a foreign country. But then if you do that, they might take the jobs out and put them somewhere else, like India or something. I don't know. So I don't have the answers. I just wish it paid a little bit more for the Filipino people.
Now if you look at the industrial sector, it still holds 30% share in the country's GDP and employs 18% of the workforce. Yet this seems considerably low, And the reason behind this lies in the geography of Philippines. You see, the country is spread over 7,000 islands.
Hard to move stuff.
This makes transportation very difficult.
Yes.
And it also limits land for development. Hence this explains why Manila, the capital of Philippines, is one of the densest cities in the world. Plus the high energy prices here make them more unattractive for manufacturers.
Right.
This is why Philippines' economy turned to the service sector so quickly in the 80s and 90s. Now, even though the geography brings in disadvantages, it also has a bright side.
Tourism.
You see, some of their islands and beaches are consistently named as the best in the world. The country is also a home to world-renowned natural wonders, like underground rivers and rice terraces.
Which is all beautiful.
They also have incredible diving spots, rich biodiversity, and much more. Things like these give tourism a significant boost. Many economists believe that tourism will be their major sector in the future.
Absolutely. And in the last few years, you know, when all these travel vloggers have been putting these beautiful videos together, the Philippines of the beaches and the mountains and just all the land in general, the tourism has been booming. And then this stupid freaking pandemic has slowed it down completely around the whole world, not just the Philippines. So it's definitely hurting in that aspect. Hopefully we can get past this stupid virus, these stupid lockdowns, and proceed with our lives.
Another source that brings a big chunk of income is remittance. The remittance accounts for more than 9% of the Philippines' GDP. This makes them the fourth largest in terms of remittance. The major reason behind this is the country has a large and young workforce. In fact, the average age of a Filipino is just 25 years.
Wow, that is young.
But the country lagged to create well-paid jobs to this huge manpower. So, in order to make more money, people tend to go work in foreign countries.
Right.
Another reason is the Philippines has a good education system which is suitable for many foreign countries. So, the Filipinos usually have the required skills to be hired.
I would definitely put my children in the Philippine schools and colleges, and we might just do that. Who knows? Who knows where we might be living in the near future?
Well, things look pretty good till here. But wait, we still haven't talked about the challenges yet. First, let's talk about the FDIs. Compared to other regional countries, the Philippines has quite low flow of foreign direct investments. There are many reasons for that, like the relatively poor infrastructure. This is a main problem for both industrial as well as tourism sectors. Also, some economic policies are making it harder for companies to do business.
Right.
Today, the Philippines is ranked 95th in the Ease of Doing Business Index. And this is really not good. Now if we take the service sector, the main pillar of the economy, then yes, it might also face challenges in the future. As companies around the world are now looking to use artificial intelligence, companies are promoting...
And that's the thing, man. AI is good. It's going to be everywhere. Automation is going to kill jobs around the world. So many. I know some countries are going to universal basic income, where the government hands out money, but you don't want to rely on the government. You never want to rely on the government. Too many people in my country rely on the government, and it's just not good, and they're pushing towards that even more. But what do you do when all these jobs disappear? You know, when automation takes it and AI takes jobs? I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know what the answer is. I know, you know, there'll be new jobs pop up, but I don't think there'll be as many, because as we get more advanced, you need less people to build things and do things and stuff like that. So what's the correct answer? What's a good answer? What's going to solve the problem of not having enough jobs? I don't know. I don't have that answer. Maybe you guys do in the comment section.
AI-backed chat boxes and Cybertron voice for BPOs and in other areas as well. So relying heavily on any one sector might not be a good move in the future.
Diversify like you do in
now if you look at
investing.
The present, then lockdowns due to the pandemic made the situation worse for the domestic economy of Philippines.
Everywhere, but yeah.
You see, the Philippines is still heavily dependent on cash transactions. Majority of people here don't even have a bank account.
And there's this great company called Ripple that's trying to solve this problem and can solve this problem. I'm invested a little bit in some assets in Ripple, but our government is suing them because they're afraid it's going to hurt the dollar. But literally, Ripple can solve the problem of everybody on this earth having bank accounts. So if you don't know anything about Ripple, the company, and their asset, their cryptocurrency called XRP, definitely go Google it, go YouTube it, check it out. Hopefully this lawsuit against the company will go away. It needs to, because Ripple can solve so many money problems. And you know how there's so many OFWs outside the Philippines, and they send money, you know, to their families in the Philippines, but to do that they get feed. Well, Ripple basically takes almost all of that fee away if they were send their money through the cryptocurrency XRP, and then it gets exchanged to Filipino pesos. Like, this shit needs to happen. I'm sorry about my cuss word, but the U.S. government needs to get away from Ripple, let them do what they've set out to do, and solve these problems around the world. Because not only, yeah, it's going to help rich people, but more importantly, it's going to help people that don't have as much money or hardly any money. It's going to save money. It's going to make money be able to send around the world at lightning speed. Instead of taking 2 to 3 days, it will take 2 to 3 seconds with a fraction of the cost. So the SEC in the United States, which is an agency, they just need to go away. They are garbage, and a lot of the world's already starting to use Ripple, and I think there's one money place in the Philippines that may already start or getting ready to. But I know Japan, they're seriously starting to use it now. So hopefully the government just lays back off of Ripple, the company, and they can solve these problems.
And this makes it harder for the government to provide relief packages. Even though the Philippines has managed to lift many people out of extreme poverty, this crisis could lead to increased poverty rate, and also income inequality between the urban and rural, which is not good in microeconomic terms. So, in order to make economic progress, the Philippines really need to work on stuff. If they did
Every
it right,
country does.
then who knows, someday they could be an economic powerhouse.
Oh, they could be a powerhouse, and you get the right leadership in there, writing the right kind of laws, and directing the country in the correct way. Yeah, it will be a powerhouse. But hopefully, you know, the tourists can come back, inject a lot of money, and it's used wisely, and yeah, it'd be awesome, you know. I want to see the Philippines do great. I have ties to the Philippines. My wife's from the Philippines. We may live in the Philippines one day, and my children are half Filipino. I want the Philippines to, you know, be one of the top countries in the world. I do. But anyway, those are my thoughts, my feelings. If you have anything else to add, comment down below. If you want to let me know anything, I like to read comments, so put as many comments as you want down there. But if you're mean, hateful, and you're just being an asshole, I'll probably just block you. And subscribe if you like the channel. But for now, I'll see you next time. Peace.